Hi, I'm Kevin Hennessy and you are watching Exploring Wild, and in this video I want to take a walk along the waterways that make their way through the city. The city isn't the usual place I would go to look for wildlife, but if you leave the busy streets and move to the waterways, not only is it quieter, but it's also home to some pretty amazing wildlife. I mean, Boise is the capital city of Idaho and is home to over 250,000 people. It's the most populated city in the state. That had me thinking that all those people, there wouldn't be much in the way of amazing wildlife, but I am so happy to say I have been proved completely wrong. The first thing I noticed after arriving here in Boise was the sheer number of geese. There are geese everywhere. It doesn't matter if you're out here on the waterways or in downtown Boise, you just come across geese. But it makes perfect sense. There are a lot of lush green parks here in the city. Combine that with the waterways and you have perfect habitat for the geese. The reason being is that geese are among a handful of birds that have the ability to eat grass. The great thing about this time of year with all of the geese though is that they have their goslings. Even though the goslings are very sweet to watch, you have to be careful, as with any animal, when you are around their young. Geese can be very aggressive, especially if they think that their goslings are in danger. It's beautiful walking along these pathways. There's so many birds flitting between the trees. My favourite to watch are the woodpeckers. Such a vast variety of woodpeckers out here in the US, especially compared to my home country of England. It's just birds moving around everywhere. It's absolutely beautiful. One thing I have noticed as well walking these pathways is the incredibly high water level. There is so much water moving through the rivers here. All this woodland that I'm walking through right now is completely flooded over. Some of the pathways are completely flooded over. There is just an immense amount of water. I actually had to stop and help a lady and her daughter wrangle up some ducklings. 3 ducklings actually got carried away in the flow of the water, and the mum couldn't quite get to them, so each ran after a duckling and grabbed the duckling each and returned it to her mum. I'm not sure she was happy. I don't think she liked us being that close to her ducklings, but it still felt like a good thing to do. So beautiful. So beautiful. evident everywhere you look that spring is in full flow and summer is hot on its heels. The city does an amazing job of looking after the parks. They're very well manicured and very well maintained. But if you move away from the parks to the more rugged areas like this one, right along the river, there's more wildlife to be found. You got the same birds, the woodpeckers, the red-winged blackbirds, the robins, but if you stop and listen very closely, you can hear scuttering around in the leaves, and those are lizards. If you're very quiet, very careful and move very slowly, you can actually get up quite close to these. They seem pretty tame. I just had a nice encounter with one back there. I just sat down. He was probably 3-4 feet away from me, and he just kept moving closer and closer until he was about 4 inches away from me. It's experiences like that that keep drawing me back to the outdoors. Though the river boasts some amazing wildlife and some very beautiful hiking trails, following the river's natural flow, there are also a lot of man-made canals. These canals feature much slower moving water. They're also far quieter when pedestrian traffic is concerned, making them a beautiful place to come and visit. If you stay along those slow moving canals and leave it until a little later in the day, you might be able to catch a glimpse of my favourite rodent. Also happens to be North America's largest. I'm going to say goodbye for now, and as always guys, I thank you very much for watching. I'm going to leave you with my favourite rodent, the North American beaver.